Excellent. Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Rusky, and joining me today is Francisca Decker. The two of us are here to talk about anger and emotional intelligence. And our esteemed colleague, Melissa Thornley, wrote an excellent blog, which we will put the link on the bottom of the recording so that you can read the blog. Melissa did a great job of talking about anger and how it ties to emotional intelligence and what to do about that. And what we want to do today, Francisca and I want to talk about there's a lot of things about anger that are unique to you and there's a lot of things that are universal about anger. And first of all, we all experience anger, so that's something to recognize. And I think the conversation that we want to have today is not around how do you not get angry, because you will, but what do you do with anger and how do you emote that and how do you use it or work through it in a way that works for you. So Francisca, let's start out when you think about anger, what do we talked about anger being kind of a big umbrella, like anger is a big umbrella word and there's different triggers or different things. How do you experience anger?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's what I liked immediately about the topic, because I was thinking talking with you is great because we are so different in our relationship to anger. And when I think about triggers that anger me, I think about, I can really feel tense when I come in a situation where I find people are not listening. They are not listening to understand. They are not listening to us. Well, that's it. And the other thing that can make me angry is when people do not take personal responsibility. Of course, I get very angry at myself when I notice that I am not taking personal responsibility in a situation. But well, that's another interesting aspect of anger, because there's an inward component and an external, an outward component. And then when I look at my system, how my system relates to anger, it goes inside. Partly by nature, partly by nurture, I have developed a system that sort of lowers my anger down, even to numbing it. Sometimes I may not even recognize, I may not even know that there's anger at play. And I first put it onto myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're bringing up two things that I think are important to point out. One is what triggers our anger, and that can be unique to both to each of us. I think there are some similarities there. So even though you and I do experience anger differently, I think the triggers are similar for both of us. How we emote that, how we react to it, whether it's internal, external, whether it's a reaction versus a response, those I think are important. I know for me, when I think about some of the triggers, for me, I had a situation and I'm still actually stewing about it a few weeks later, that somebody absolutely was aggressive, mean, and absolutely shut down the conversation in a way that was just pure bullying. And it was so awful. Like every fiber of me reacted to it. And it was wrong, and I didn't appreciate the way anything that person did or said. It brought up such frustration in me that I was actually moved to tears. Like I was that frustrated that, my eyes were leaking would be a way to say it. And I know for women, frustration, a lot of women say, I cry in frustration. And that, to me, women and men are treated differently on how they emote anger. For men, it's almost okay, but for women, it's too emotional.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely recognize that. It is somehow also socially not accepted. It's not the norm. As women, as girls, we are educated and brought up, or at least I was brought up to, that it was okay to be vulnerable and cry, but boys are generally brought up like, okay, come on, you have to man up.
Or boys don't cry.
Or boys don't cry, that kind of thing. I was surfing on LinkedIn the other day, and I came across a post by a woman who was very passionate about some projects in the sustainability sector, but she was also like, she was fed up with having to defend herself all the time. And she expressed that in a post, which I found brilliant, actually, really good that she did it. And she got a lot of positive response to that, but also one from a male who said, like, why express your anger on social media? You know, don't do that. Put your energy into building fruitful relationships, something like that. I thought, oh, this is such a typical expression, how we see that it is not accepted to be angry, and maybe in general, but especially also towards women. And
you know, it's funny because for the last few years, I mean, we run a leadership company that is geared towards helping organizations move diverse talent, especially female gender diversity, you know, into their leadership pipeline. And I do find myself at times getting so frustrated that the needle moves so little over a decade. You know, there's one woman CEO, one African American woman CEO that was just hired. She was she was the Starbucks COO, and now she's going to be the head of Walgreens. And I'm sorry, her name is escaping me, but there's one female African American CEO in a Fortune 500 company. And so when I put the metrics like that, it's so frustrating for me. And I know for me, I can be really aggressive with my frustration. I also know, and this is what Melissa pointed out in her blog, is that from an emotionally aware, from an emotionally intelligent place, if I'm not aware of that, I could be turning off all kinds of people that I'm trying to actually attract to get on board, you know, with the mission. And, you know, being aware of what you're feeling, how you're triggered, what you need to let go of, you know, and what you're willing to do. Those were Melissa's 3 key points in the blog, in the article, which I thought were fantastic. But is there anything in particular, Francisca, that you found that you do that really helps you to internalize that anger, but in a healthy way?
yeah, that is, the awareness comes first. Like Melissa is also sharing with us the awareness, and she's also sharing like a little practice. You know, what happens when we are really angry or frustrated is that the balance between the rational mind and our emotions, and we need both in daily life and in leadership, but the ratio, the balance is disturbed. So the first thing we need to do is becoming aware that something is disturbed or that something is off, but then do something to rebalance. And Melissa is sharing a very simple exercise of breathing and pausing to really calm our system down. That's a great one. And I think I'm doing that in ways also when I am really, it can be anger or frustrated or completely off. Then the thing to do for me is just sit and turn inwards, which is a variation to calm. I mean, there are many ways to take care of yourself and rebalance. And what I've learned is that we always have this choice about. Well, we have a responsibility. I talked about responsibility, but also about how we are impacting other people. Yeah. So we have a choice about the impact we want to leave with other people. So there's a choice to make. But from that place of centeredness, it is possible to explore what is at stake. And from there, it is possible to take an action towards what you really want, what you really value, and it's really important.
Well, as we wrap up our conversation today, I guess I'll try to summarize what we've said about, first of all, recognize what's going on for you. So the awareness is, as we pointed out, is key. And know your triggers, as we, Francisca and I have talked about, like our triggers are might be similar, but how we express those triggers and what we do with those triggers are something else. But that's the choice point that we're always talking about. So it's not a question of you have to react. It's a question of do you choose to react and how you choose to react. So with that, we are going to leave you today. Please join us again next week. You can see all of our Facebook lives here at our Tiara Facebook page. We also post them on our YouTube channel. TiaraInternational.com is also our website. And if you are not already a Tiara Resource Circle member, please join us so that you can be notified of conversations like this in the future. So thank you for joining us and have a great day.
See you later. Bye.